This is a demonstration of my voice acting for YouTube before it is even edited. So this is me using my real voice to record Maximus and co. And we'll just let this helicopter go past. Close that one down. I don't think we need that one. This is Tales of the Caravan when masks slip recording. Deep beneath Fort Titan, where the stone corridors no restart. Didn't like that. Deep beneath Fort Titan, where stone corridors swallow sound and secrets are measured more carefully than gold, a prisoner awaits. For days he has spoken of influence, status. No! Excuse me. We'll try that again. Deep beneath Fort Titan, where stone corridors swallow sound and secrets are measured more carefully than gold, a prisoner waits. For days he has spoken of influence, status, and connections beyond these walls. Tonight, at last, someone has come to listen. But not all conversations begin with questions. Some begin with patience. So I'm not happy with that. I'm going to start again. Deep beneath Fort Titan, where stone corridors swallow sound and secrets are measured more carefully than gold, a prisoner waits. For days he has spoken of influence, status, and connections beyond these walls. Tonight, at last, someone has come to listen. But not all conversations begin with the same questions. Some begin with patience. And stop there because I'm happy with that opening, so I will export audio to my desk. So when masks slip, 01 opening narration MP3. So I will convert that later into a much deeper pitch, which I will demonstrate later on. So now we go to the main part of the script. Now I've lost the script. Oh, don't tell me I've shut down Audacity. Oh no, there we go. Yep. So now it's the prisoner and Maximus. Well, you took your time. Did I? I expected someone important much sooner. Instead, I get two men wandering into a cell in the middle of the night. Careful. Why? Am I supposed to be impressed? Not particularly. Good, because I am not impressed either. That must make it this easier. Do that again because I fluffed that line. Get my cue up. Good, because I am not impressed either. That must make this easier for both of us. Who are you? Maximus. Just Maximus? For now. You expect me to know that name? No. Then perhaps you are less important than you think. Perhaps. At least you're honest. I find honesty useful. I find power useful. Power opens doors, commands respect, and ensures men do not spend their evenings in prison cells. A fascinating observation, considering where you are. You mock me, sir? You mock me, sir? Not at all. Good. I have little patience for mockery. Then tonight may prove difficult for you. You think you're clever? I've been accused of worse. What exactly is this? An interrogation? A conversation. Conversations are voluntary. Everything is voluntary. Now I know you're lying. Interesting. Most people argue against that statement. You accepted it. I did no such thing. You did. And now you're irritated because I noticed. You're playing games. So are you. The difference is that you enjoy proving yourself cleverer than the people around you. Ha! You know nothing about me. Then why are you smiling? Because this is entertaining. Exactly. Exactly. Yep, happy with that. You think you figured me out? Not yet. But I know you came into this conversation wanting me to ask who you know, where you've been, which doors opened for you, and which nobles welcomed you. Perhaps I did. I know you did. Then ask. Not yet. You're still performing. Performing? You expected threats. Instead... No, aircraft going out. I'm going to have to shut these windows. Performing. Oh, sorry, not the mic. Luckily I wasn't recording audio. Performing. You expected threats. Instead, you're trying to establish dominance. You expected threats. Instead, you're trying to establish dominance. And how is that working? About as well as your attempt to impress the guards. You spoke to them. Naturally, they've said you spent days explaining your importance to people who never asked. They should have asked. People should know who they're dealing with. That tells me something. Such as? Being ignored bothers you more than imprisonment. That's absurd. Then why did you ask the guards who knew you were here? Anyone would ask that. Not anyone. You're making assumptions. Observations. You're very confident. No, just patient. Patient for what? For the moment when you stop trying to impress me. And if that moment never comes? It will. Every performance ends eventually. The only question is how long the actor can stay on stage. You think you've already won? No, I think we've only just begun. Then ask your questions. In time. Everything with you is in time. Everything is a game. Enough. Oh, the quiet one speaks. You've spent this entire conversation circling your own reflection. You claim influence, access, importance, yet not one answer has been useful. You seem irritated. I am irritated. Good. It means I'm getting somewhere. No, it means my patience has limits. A rare occasion. He does seem unusually tense. Unlike Maximus, I don't enjoy these games. Not all of us can appreciate the finer arts. No, I can never say the arts. Not all of us can appreciate the finer arts. So that's what this is? Entertainments? Other of a sort. Of a sort. I think I might change that line, actually. I'm not happy with that. I think I'm going to change that to kind of. Entertainments. Kind of. Then let's stop entertaining him. If this continues much longer, we should move him to the guild and be done with it. The guild? The Adventurers Guild? No. Then what guild? Paldrock, he asked. What guild? The Maximite Guild. The Maximite Guild? Correct. Why would the Maximite Guild care about any of this? An excellent question. Wait. No. This doesn't make sense. You're Maximus, the caravan leader. Among other things. No. Everyone knows where Maximus Volkov is. Do they? Port Night Song. Sometimes. Not here. Yet here I am. You're actually Maximus Volkov. You've heard of me? Everyone has heard of you. Then this conversation can finally become useful. You knew I didn't recognise you. Of course. And you let me keep talking? You seemed to enjoy it. You manipulated the entire conversation. Not entirely. You contributed quite a lot. Even him? You used him too? That part should have been obvious. You were angry. No, I was expected to appear angry. Maximus knows exactly how far to push people. That's absurd. Is it? The difference is that now we can stop pretending. And what happens now? Now we have an honest conversation. About Garalos? At last! What exactly do you want to know? The palace. That's all? For now. You've travelled all the way down here for architecture? Answer the question. Very well. The public areas are exactly what you'd expect. Marble, gold trim, portraits, ceremonial halls, and paintings worth more than entire villages. The private sections are different, older. The palace has been expanded so many times that half the inner corridors belong to different centuries. And Duchess Isabeau? She prefers the older wings, more privacy, fewer servants, fewer visitors, fewer people asking why certain doors remain locked. And the collections? Jewellery, gemstones, crowns, ceremonial pieces, antique necklaces, rings, regalia, entire rooms devoted to treasures most people will never see. You have seen them yourself? Some, not all. Nobody sees all of it. Why? Because much of it remains secured. There are vaults. Describe them. The first is little more than a treasury. Strong doors, heavy locks, guard rotations. Nothing unusual. The older vaults are different. Different how? Legends, mostly. The oldest vault was supposedly designed by paranoid nobles who trusted nobody. Not servants, not guards, not even family. Sensibly paranoid. There are stories about traps, corridors that lock from both ends, pressure plates, hidden mechanisms, spikes, rooms with walls that close inwards. Some stories are exaggerated, but not all of them. Where did you hear this? Servants, builders, drunken guards, people who talk too much. Like you. Very funny. There are also rumours of false vaults. No, I don't like that. I'm going to change that to chambers. The reason I write the scripts out and then change them as I go, it's easier to reference them later on when I have to go back to edit and also edit the audio and also for the archives. So that's why. So where was I? Oh yes, very funny. Very funny. There are also rumours of false chambers, decoys designed to look important, waste time, and punish impatience. And Duchess Isabeau is protective of these collections. Obsessed is probably fair. She adores beautiful things, not merely expensive things. There is a difference. She collects history as much as wealth. The stories attached to objects matter to her. Useful. Security. Elite household guards, professional, disciplined, far better than any ordinary city watch. I don't know exact numbers, but enough to make foolish men reconsider their plans. And wise men? Wise men never get caught. Anything else? No, I've told you everything I know. For once, I believe him. So do I. That's it? No threats? No demands? No. No. I've left that gap a bit too long. No. You're just leaving? You provided information. Now we decide what to do with it. What exactly are you planning? A professional curiosity. That's not an answer. It wasn't meant to be. If any of this reaches Garrulus, I'm dead. Probably. Probably? You vastly underestimate noble embarrassment. You can't tell anyone I helped. Relax. If word reached Garrulus that you assisted us, your problems would become very immediate. That benefits nobody. You swear it? No. Then why should I trust you? Because if I wanted to ruin you, I wouldn't need your permission. What happens to me? That depends on Fort Titan. And you? I have other matters to attend to. What matters? Jewellery. Jewellery? An unexpectedly no. Jewellery? An unexpectedly interesting subject. Come on. Maximus? Yes. If you're truly going to Garrulus, be careful. Why? Because the people who survive... Delete that. Start again. See, you get all the bloopers in this video. But I delete them from the audio. So where was I? Oh yeah, because the people who survive around power, blah blah blah. Because the people who survive around power are rarely the people everyone notices. An excellent piece of advice. I mean it. So do I. We're done here. Yes. Yes, we are. You got what you needed? Enough to begin. And the rest? We'll discover on the way. I have a No, that's the prisoner, not Paldrock. I have a feeling that's the last time I'll ever see either of you. Then make it a memorable experience. You know, I think that's exactly what worries me. Wise man. Come on, Paldrock. Where to? We have a trip to Garrulus to plan. So we'll stop that and save that because I can edit that later. Export audio. Mask slips 02. Save that as main section. Obviously, once I cut a lot of the silence out of it, then it'll flow a lot easier. But it's knowing obviously where to put Paldrock as well. So we can close that down. Now for the closing narrator. As silence settles once more beneath Fort Titan, one prisoner is left alone with his thoughts. Above, preparations begin. The road now leads west towards... No. As silence settles once more beneath Fort Titan. Try that again. As silence settles once more... No! Blah, 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 blah. Delete. As silence settles once more beneath Fort Titan, one prisoner is left alone with his thoughts. Above, preparations begin. The road now leads west towards Garrulus, towards Duchess Isabeau, towards secrets hidden behind marble walls and locked vaults. The prisoner believes he has helped plan a jewellery theft. Maximus knows better. For some treasures are worth more than gold. Some secrets are worth more than crowns. And somewhere beyond the horizon, a forgotten trail is beginning to reveal itself. Once again. Above, preparations begin. The road now leads west towards Garrulus. So that's one script written, recorded. Let's see if I can do a second one. I was going to do the one with with the guard that protected the cells and the prisoner, but I decided not to. Because it didn't really add anything to the conversation. It was just the guards talking to Maximus prior to him going to meet the prisoner. So I thought if I just skip straight to the prisoner, then it keeps a lot of the story flowing without adding any extra. Him talking to the guards didn't add anything extra to it. I just wanted to get straight into the the sort of core of the story, to move it along. So yeah. Next up is questions from Necrotia. That's the next script I'm going to attempt. So here we go. Do the narration first. The road to Garrulus had not yet begun, but already it occupies Maximus Volkov's thoughts. Maps cover his desk, books lay open around him, merchant records, noble histories, estate inventories, and fragments of old correspondence have been gathered into increasingly untidy piles. While the caravan prepares for departure, Maximus remains focused on a single question. If the crown of the Tyrant King truly exists, why have so many people spent centuries failing to find? No, yeah. No, not happy. Need to make some changes there. Need to make some changes to the script. Why did I write that in the past tense when it should be in the present tense? There we go. That makes sense to me now to read it. So you get a little bit of me sort of giving you a bit of extra. So here we go. The road to Garalos has not yet begun, but it already occupies Maximus Volkov's thoughts. Maps cover his desk, books lay open around him. Merchant records, noble histories, estate inventories, and fragments of old correspondence have been gathered into increasingly untidy piles. While the caravan prepares for departure, Maximus remains focused on a single question. If the crown of the Tyrant King truly exists, why have so many people spent centuries failing to find it? So we can now save this recording. Questions from Necrotia. Learn to spell. Yes, yep, that's fine. So now it's Maximus and Boris. The more I read about Garalos, the less I trust any of it. Every account contradicts the last. Collections disappear and reappear. Ownership changes without explanation. Entire inventories survive when the estates that supposedly housed them vanished generations ago. Somebody spent an extraordinary amount of effort ensuring that future historians would be confused. If you've come to ask whether we're leaving soon, the answer is the same as it was this morning. Preparations take as long as they take, and if you've entered my tent without speaking, then you're either carrying bad news, or you already know I won't be pleased to see you. I was hoping for bad news. A disappointing greeting, though not an unexpected one. Boris, I should have recognised your arrogant aura the moment you entered. No, I'm going to change that. Aura, because I can't do. I'm going to change that to energy. Boris, I should have recognised your arrogant energy the moment you entered the tent. Your appearance generally means one of three things. Lord Volkov wants information, he wants something done, or he has decided that whatever I'm doing would benefit from his involvement. None of those possibilities improve my mood. Your assessment remains as charitable as ever. After several centuries of experience, I prefer accuracy over charity. So, tell me, Boris, did you travel all this way because Lord Volkov requires an update, or because you have come to determine how much progress I've made before I choose to tell him myself? Then let us avoid wasting another's time. No, should be. Then let us avoid wasting one another's time. Your father wants an update on the crown, and before you ask, yes, I am aware that you'll find these visits irritating. Unfortunately, that irritation has never altered the necessity of them. The necessity is not what irritates me. It is the certainty with which both you... No. The necessity is not what irritates me. It is the certainty that... I will get this right. I will get this script right. The necessity is not what irritates me. It is the certainty with which both of you assume that I have spent weeks travelling, investigating, bribing, questioning, and reading solely to provide convenient reports whenever Necrotia becomes curious. You'll know perfectly well that Lord Volkov's interest extends beyond curiosity. Yes, and that is why. Do that again. Yes, and that is precisely why I know there is little point at... blah, 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 blah. Yes, and that is precisely why I know there is little point attempting to be evasive. If I omit something important, you will notice. If I attempt to redirect the conversation, you will notice that as well. You have spent centuries making yourself difficult to mislead, and I am unfortunate enough to be aware of it. There, you see? Most people would take that as a compliment. You're already treating it as confirmation. I am listening. Exactly. The investigation has changed. When we first arrived at Fort Titan, I believed we were dealing with a theft. A valuable object disappears, interested parties begin chasing it, and eventually somebody uncovers where it has been hidden. That would... no. A valuable... I am listening. Exactly. The investigation has changed. When we first arrived at Fort Titan, I believed we were dealing with a theft. A valuable object disappears, interested parties begin chasing it, and eventually somebody uncovers where it has been hidden. That would have been simple. The problem is that nothing about this has remained simple. A prisoner confirmed several details, but more importantly, he confirmed his own assumptions. He genuinely believed the operation centered around jewellery and private collections. Ordinarily, I would have accepted that explanation. Now I find myself increasingly convinced that somebody wants everyone focusing on precisely those things. And your reasoning? Because every path keeps returning to the same conclusion. Wealth, collections, display cases, noble inventories, visible assets. It is also conveniently obvious that I have begun to distrust it. The more I examine Garrulus, the more I find references to records, transfers of ownership, archived inventories, and administrative details that seem so significant until viewed together. I no longer think that the most important thing in this search is what people are looking at. I think it may be what they have spent centuries overlooking. An interesting conclusion. The fact that you are not surprised by it concerns me more than if you had disagreed. Your father will find that assessment most interesting. Not because of the conclusion itself. I suspect he arrived at something similar some time ago. What will interest him is that you have reached it independently. You have always preferred to trust your own reasoning, even when it leads you to places others have already visited. There it is. I was wondering how long it would take before you found a way to make that sound like criticism. You have a remarkable talent for presenting an insult in the shape of a compliment. I realise that is one of the reasons my father values your advice. But it becomes no less irritating every time I witness it. I was not criticising you. No. I was not criticising you. I merely... I was not criticising you. I merely find it interesting that after all these years, you continue to approach problems in exactly the same way. You gather information, dismiss the obvious explanation, become convinced that something more complicated must be occurring, and then spend an unreasonable amount of time proving yourself correct. You say that as though the complicated explanation has not repeatedly turned out to be the right one. More importantly, you say it with that infuriating certainty that suggests you've already decided what conclusion I'm going to reach before I've reached it myself. No. More important. You say that as though the complicated explanation has not repeatedly turned out to be the right one. More importantly, you say it with that infuriating certainty that suggests you've already decided what conclusion I'm going to reach before I've reached it myself. And that silence is precisely why speaking to you is exhausting. Most people feel compelled to defend themselves. You simply wait for the other person to continue talking until they've made your argument for you. An effective approach. Wouldn't you agree? No. Effective would imply I approve of it. Unfortunately, what it actually is happens to be far worse. It works. Then allow me to ask a simpler question. If the crown has remained hidden for centuries because people have been searching in the wrong places, who benefits most from ensuring they continue searching there? You already have a theory. The fact you're asking means you're trying to determine whether mine matches yours. That is why I came. Of course it is. Then I have what I came for. Your father wanted to know whether the search was progressing. More specifically, he wanted to know whether you were still pursuing the crown itself, or whether you had begun looking beyond it. The distinction matters more than you may realize. That sounds suspiciously like one of those statements designed to provoke further questions while revealing absolutely nothing in return. I have never understood how you managed to make that seem productive. Experience. More importantly, necessity. You are no longer investigating a missing artifact. If your conclusions are correct, you are investigating a decision. At some point in history, somebody chose to conceal the truth and succeeded so completely that generations of intelligent people accepted the resulting fiction. Finding the crown may ultimately prove easier than understanding why that decision was made. You already believe you've identified part of the answer. I can tell because you spent the last half hour carefully steering the conversation around it while pretending not to. Perhaps. Or perhaps I simply wish to see whether you would arrive there without assistance. Either way, I am satisfied with what I have learnt. I genuinely cannot decide whether those conversations leave me better informed or merely more irritated. In my experience, the two outcomes are rarely mutually inclusive. In my experience, the two outcomes are rarely mutually exclusive. The irritating part is not that Boris asks questions. The irritating part is that he always seems to know which questions I should already be asking myself. Who benefits? Not who possesses the crown, not who wants it, not who stole it. Who benefits from the uncertainty surrounding it? Who benefits from scholars searching archives, treasure hunters searching vaults, nobles searching collections, and thieves searching estates for centuries without ever reaching the truth? A crown is an object. Objects have value. Objects can be hidden. Objects can be stolen. But people do not spend generations protecting an object. They spend generations protecting the They spend generations protecting what the object represents. The prisoner thought he was helping plan a theft. A stranger thought he was warning the wrong man. Boris thinks I've started asking the correct questions. For once, all three of them may be right. Somewhere along the way, everybody became interested in finding the crown. Perhaps that's... The prisoner thought... Somewhere along the way, everybody became interested in finding the crown. Perhaps that was the mistake. Perhaps the crown itself is only part of the story. Because if someone truly managed to hide it for centuries, then they were protecting something far more valuable than gold, jewels, or authority. They were protecting a secret, and secrets survive for that long only when powerful people continue finding reasons to keep them buried. Well then, let's find out who's been digging the grave. I saw Boris leaving. That generally means one of two things. Either Lord Volkov wanted information, or Lord Volkov wanted information urgently enough to send Boris personally. An excellent observation. Unfortunately, the answer is both. How bad was it? The usual amount of bad. He arrived, asked questions he already knew the answers to, implied that I should be asking different questions, refused to explain precisely why, and then departed with the quiet satisfaction of someone who has spent the entire conversation being deliberately irritating while maintaining complete deniability. That sounds very much like Boris. It sounds exactly like Boris. The man has somehow elevated interference into an art form. And the worst part is that I cannot even claim he's incompetent. If he were incompetent, I could dismiss him. Instead, he spends centuries being correct, often enough to become impossible to ignore. Lord Volkov trusts him. That may be the most frustrating part of all. My father trusts almost nobody. Entire kingdoms have learned that lesson the hard way. Yet Boris walks into Necrotia, questions plans, criticises decisions, and somehow remains one of the few people permitted to do so. I understand why he does it. I even understand why my father wants updates. The crown is important, and neither of them are inclined to leave matters of this magnitude unattended. What I object to is the constant assumption that somebody in Necrotia needs a hand on the leash. Yes, I said leash, because that is exactly what it feels like at times. I have spent decades building the caravan. I built the guild. I have managed negotiations, wars, criminals, nobles, merchants, adventurers, and every other variety of problem this continent has been kind enough to invent. Yet the moment something becomes sufficiently important, Boris appears from the shadows to ensure I have not wandered too far from the path. And have you wandered too far from the path? That is not the point. It sounded like the point. You spend too much time around me. Occupational hazard. The truly irritating thing is that Boris believes he is evaluating the investigation. He isn't. He's evaluating me. He always has been. Every conversation becomes an examination disguised as a discussion. Every answer becomes evidence. Every conclusion becomes something to be measured against whatever impossible standard he and my father have invented. And yet you always take the bait. That is also not the point. No, but it is true. Unfortunately, that is also true. So we save that now, because that's the end of the middle bit. What did I call it? Main section. So now we go on to, that is exporting. I will edit that later. Might have time to record the other scripts actually, because that was actually quite a short script. So now we do that. Need to change that. Just making some minor there we go. Outside, Fort Titan continues its endless routine of patrols, reports and watch changes. Inside the tent, however, the conversation lingers. Boris has departed with his answers. Paldrock has confirmed what Maximus already knows. The crown of the Tyrant King remains the objective. Yet with every new clue, it seems increasingly likely that the crown itself is only part of a much larger mystery, and somewhere beyond the walls of Fort Titan, Garrulus waits, along with whatever secrets its records, archives, and forgotten histories have concealed for centuries. So I'm going to finish with those scripts for this video, and then I will start another video for the other scripts, because I think I'm going to have time to at least record one of them, because I need to try and get some context. Probably won't do the guards, but I'll do the mistaken identity script.